Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? How is everyone? Welcome in, come in, get comfortable. How's everyone doing? Merp, merp, merp. Hey K-Braze, hey Merp, hey Mo, hey Heather, hey Leo, hey Pointer Lover, hi Glowbug. Welcome in, welcome in. Is everyone having a good Saturday? Sorry about yesterday, guys. It was just not my day. So, but we're here now. We're here to party and is it really? Where are you from, Leo? Hey, K-Braze. But we're here. We're going to talk with everyone. Hey, Vergaria. Vesca. That's a beautiful name. Oh, South Africa. That's really cool, Leo. Welcome in. Good evening. All right. So, are you guys ready to get into some more of these cases? Oh, right. Right, Heather. So once again, you guys have kind of seen what I have done up to this point when it comes to the victims of the Gilgo Beach murders. And hey, Combat Vet Price, welcome in. Ooh, stay cool, drink water. Hey, Struggle's Real, welcome in. Right, Leo? I know. So yes, you guys know how I've been covering them and trying to make the focus be on the victims, who they were, their stories, and so on. So that is kind of where I'm still going with today's video. But the people that we will be speaking about today, some of them are unidentified. Some of them are identified but don't have a ton of information behind. Some were identified 10 years apart. I mean, there's a lot to it. And um, I am going to tell you as much as I can about them. There's not a ton about them, like, personally. But I think just getting their names, their stories out there, the different aspects of how they're found, and so that they're also not just lumped in as a number when it comes to either the Gilgo Beach murders or the Long Island serial killer and so on and so forth. These are the cases of the bodies that are found near the four other bodies that we covered: Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amberlynn Costello. But that the current perpetrator is not being charged with these crimes yet. So the ones that we're going over today, they're all technically unsolved, even though they are found relatively similarly, but not exactly. So I'm just gonna go over that. Hey, Melissa Jade, welcome in. Thanks for being here. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over it case by case. Like I said, there's not a ton in when it comes to these cases. And so I've kind of just scoured the internet, looked at a ton of different things, and then kind of corroborated different facts between here and there. So that's kind of my plan when it comes to this. Hey, Len, how are you? Thank you so much. Oh, I know, Melissa, I know. But yeah, so let us get started. As you guys know, I do the overlays with the pages that I've put up. And yeah, so we are going to, I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to come off the camera because obviously the overlay is going to cover all the screen. So I'm going to take myself off. I'll come back on at the end. But here we go. All right. So, these are who we are going to be going over today. Hey, Brandywine and True Crime, welcome in. Thanks for coming, and thank you so much. All right. So, today we are going to go over the cases of Valerie Mack, Jessica Taylor, a John Doe, a toddler Doe, Peaches, and Karen Vergata. So, there are 6 victims that we will be going over um, today. Their cases, who they were, and what we know about them as of right now. But I am going to be doing them in order of how they're written on the screen, not necessarily like how and when they were found, although I will go over all of that. Hey, Muscles and Mascara, welcome in. Good afternoon. Hey, Chica. Yeah, right, Leo? Me too. Leo said, I feel sad for their families. Pray they get answers and have closure. Right. And that's the thing is, I think, especially, there's 2 cases in here that I would bet money on that are connected, but I don't necessarily know if they're all connected to each other. They're all connected to the other 4 Gilgo Beach victims. I think there's a lot of potential in that. But yeah, so the first case that we are going to go over is the case of what happened to Valerie Mack. So, how many of you guys, I'm going to put a poll in here, know the case of Valerie Mack? Just curious, because out of these, hers and Jessica Taylor are the ones that have been um, the most publicized, I guess I would say. But I'm just quite curious. Mo said, didn't they say last presser they had Peach's identity soon? Sort of. I mean, I don't know if they said it verbatim like that. I have been hearing rumors um, that they could be coming into Peach's identity soon. Um, and we'll go over that once we kind of get to the Peaches part of the presentation. But I don't know if there's a like an actual thing. Oh wow, really? Point over? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. All right. So let's see where we're at. 81% of you said no. 83% of you said no. 17% of you said yes. Okay. I'm going to leave that open until we start the next one. So we have Valerie Mack. As you guys can see here, Valerie Mack was born on July 2nd, 1976 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And she was 5'2", 24 years old, and only about 100 pounds. So, hey, positive vibes, welcome in. Right, K-Braze, you're right. All right. So, Valerie Mack, she was actually unidentified for quite some time. So she has a few different names. She had an alias of Melissa Taylor. Yes. Yep. Another petite woman, Mo. She also went by Manorville Jane Doe, as well as Jane Doe number 6. So I will kind of go over as we go through her timeline of things, how this all worked, and how she got each name, and then how each name came to be Valerie Mack. So other than she was known to be living with her boyfriend at the time, she had a young son, and that she was working as an escort in Philly also. So that's, yeah, that is kind of the gist of her background. There's not much that can be found or said regarding, the type of person she was, or what she liked, or her dislikes, or anything like that. So, which sucks, because my main thing here is to try and personalize who these victims are so that you guys are able to see them as people, because I think that's one thing about all these cases that I have covered in general is that because of their work as escorts, they tend to not be looked at as anything other than an escort, and I don't think that's fair. Um, but that's pretty much the gist of it, which is terrible. So she is last seen in Port Republic, New Jersey, and that there was just a handful of people who had seen her. They claim it was her family that had seen her. Correct. Yes, Mo. They're only grouped under their profession, sadly. Yeah, and that's terrible because they're still people. They are human beings with people who love them. That's all that should matter. Absolutely, Pointer Lover. I agree with you. So, yes, Merp. That's down by Atlantic City. Um. Ooh, nice, Heather. Don't pounce. All right. So we then have the next aspect of this. So Valerie Mack does have a history of being arrested. I didn't really look into it, but that is why it looks like a mugshot because it is. But I think this is the last photo ever taken of her. So although it is a mugshot, I still think it's important to be able to show you guys the photo. So she was last seen, like I said, in the area of Port Republic, New Jersey, by her family. They don't specify who, how, why, but this was spring 2000 to early summer 2000. So there's not even an exact time frame. It's literally just that. So we now get to November 19th of 2000. Remains are found in Manorville, New York, right off in the Long Island Pine Barrens off of Halsey Manor Road. It was just a. Oh, I'm going to throw out my trigger warning actually before I continue. All right, so the next part of this is going to get pretty graphic on what they end up finding and everything like that. This is very similar to a lot of the other cases we're covering today. So just trigger warning. But the remains found on November 19th, 2000 in Manorville, New York consisted of a nude, dismembered torso placed in plastic bags. The torso had said to have been deceased for several weeks, and that torso was named the Manorville Jane Doe. So like I said, this is November 19th, 2000. Now we go over it'll be over 10 years later to April 4th, 2011. So April 4th, 2011. So literally almost 11 years, just under 11 years after the torso was found in Manorville. A skull, hands, and a right foot are found in a plastic bag along Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach. The skull, the hands, and the right foot are identified as Jane Doe number 6. In 2011, then, they're able to run DNA, which they did obviously run DNA back in 2000, but it's not something that was hugely advanced at that point. But in 2011, when they do find the skull, the hands, and the right foot, they are able to do DNA. And the DNA ends up linking the torso from 2000, that was found in 2000 in Manorville, to the skull, hands, and right foot from 2011. So now we have a nude torso found in Manorville, a skull, hands, and right foot found off of Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach. I have the exact location. I want to say it was a decent distance. Off the top of my head, I want to say it was like 30 to 40-minute drive between where they were found in Manorville and where they were found off near Gilgo Beach, but I don't quote me on that. Right, Melissa Jade, it is such a desolate area. Yep, absolutely, Brandywine and true crime. Um, and then, so we now know that Manorville Jane Doe and Jane Doe number 6 are the same person. It is then, about 9 years later, on May 22nd, 2020, that Long Island PD announced that they have identified the they've identified the remains. These are going to be both remains. And then I actually have a quick little thing that I'm going to read here. So I'm going to bring that up quick. Let me take this off and bring this up. Which one am I doing? All right. I'm just going to read a little paragraph in this because it goes a little bit more into how they were able to identify her specifically. So it says, at a press conference, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Geraldine Hart stated that the website led us to the aunt of Valerie Mack. That was our first in-person encounter with somebody from Valerie's family. Cops eventually located Mack's adoptive family and her son, who was in his 20s, and whose DNA last week tested positive as a match for Valerie's after being sent by an aunt to them. It was the first time New York police used a genealogy website to successfully solve a cold case. Mack had been orphaned at an early age, thus it is unknown why she had never been reported missing. She was at least the second person whose remains have been discovered in both Gilgo Beach and Manorville. So I just thought that was an interesting little aspect of this, was that there was genealogy used to be able to, hey Carol freaking Claus, welcome in, to IDing her. And so I just found that to be interesting, and I thought it was better to do it word for word versus trying to memorize that little thing. And then it was a week later that the two sets of remains are identified as Valerie Mack, who also went by Melissa Taylor. So that is the case of Valerie Mack. That is pretty much the entirety of what we know about her. Hey, Sleuth Mom. And so this is just one of those cases where she has not technically been, no one has been, arrested. There's not necessarily a person of interest. I know that there have been people who have really that have been looking into whether or not she could be connected somehow to Rex Heuermann in this, but there has not been anything given by police or anything like that to go along those lines. So the next case that we are going to be going over is Jessica Taylor. So I'm going to do another poll. Do you guys know the case of Jessica Taylor? Right. Just threw up the poll. Yes. No? Because it keeps jumping around. Hey, Red Eye, good to see you. All right. So it's kind of going really back and forth, but it is staying a majority of you on the no side of, do you know the case of Jessica Taylor? All right. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Jessica. So Jessica Taylor was born on June 17th, 1983 in Poughkeepsie. Merp, was that right? I know I didn't say it with the accent that you wanted me to, but Poughkeepsie, New York. She was Poughkeepsie. I was right. and she was 20 years old at the time of her death. Um, Not much, once again, is known about her growing up, her family, or anything like that. Since everything has kind of come to fruition within her case, she has had a cousin that has been pretty vocal about everything. Um, but like up until that point, it's not like she has had a ton of information out there. So, um, we do know, let's check on the next one here. Nope, we're gonna go back. We do know that she was an escort who would bounce between Washington, D.C. and New York City. She was also known to spend time in Atlantic City, Long Island City, in the East Williamsburg area of Brooklyn. Um, she was last seen. Um, yes, yep, yes, Mo. She was last seen near the Port Authority bus terminal in Manhattan. Um, I will say a lot of the articles were very disrespectful in a certain way. I mean, when it comes to this, I know some of them in quotes said she was turning tricks, and I hate that. Um, I I don't know if that's just me personally, but I hate that. So I just put that she was trying to find work um, as an escort near the Port Authority bus terminal in Manhattan between the dates of July 18th and July 21st in 2003. Um, so that is when she's last seen. Like I said, there's not a ton of information regarding, I know, Me Too, Pointer Lover. But that's kind of the disrespect that these women were having to deal with. Um, so, and it's terrible, but I wanted to make sure that I was vocal about the fact that I don't like that term. So, um, she actually was reported missing by a fellow escort that went by the name of Crystal, but other than that, there's not much actually known regarding her background, the time she went missing, or anything like that. That's literally the gist of everything that is the information out there. Um, so, um, once again, we are in a situation where she is dismembered. So, once again, trigger warning as we get into the talk of body parts and body parts being found and so on. July 26th, 2003, a dog walker discovers a naked torso at the end of a paved road in Manorville, New York, on Halsey Manor Road. So, if you guys remember, this is very similar to where Valerie Mack's torso was found. Um, that her Jessica Taylor's body was not concealed in any way. It was out in the open, yards away from a tree line on a pile of tree branches and scrap wood. It was only a half a mile away from where the torso of Valerie Mack was actually found. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna show you guys. I have a little bit here. This is one of the original um articles in a newspaper that came out as this was going. Yeah. So, K-Braze, that's the thing, is that a lot of the people within, like, that have looked into Jessica Taylor's case as well as Valerie Mack's, is the parts of them that are missing are usually the parts of them that have the identifiable features, whether that be fingerprints, teeth, different things like that, where they think that they were cut off due to hinder identification of these bodies. So it says, while walking her dog yesterday through a wooded stretch of Halsey Manor Road in Manorville, a woman discovered the decapitated body of an unidentified woman. The unclothed body was found lying on a pile of branches near the Long Island Expressway, Suffolk police said. Her hands had been cut off and her body decomposed to the point or even pinpointing her race is difficult. Suffolk police suspect she's Caucasian and are checking missing persons databases for matches. So, um, another aspect of this that I have is there is a site that kind of goes over all of the different places with photographs of um, where she is found. It is where I got a lot of the photos from today regarding all of this, but it's going to kind of give you guys more of a idea of the location of where the torsos are being left in Manorville. So this is the path here. It is at the end of this path down here is where the torso is found. You're good, Merp. If we scroll down a little, it goes over the kind of the storyline. It can go over the GPS coordinates of exactly where her body is found. Here you guys will see a blown up picture of the Long Island Expressway, Halsey Manor Road, and then you can see the circle where her body was found. You keep scrolling down, it'll show you the difference in where over here we have Valerie Mack, her body being found, as well as Jessica Taylor's body being found. So you guys can see the difference in distance between the two. We scroll down a little more. Here's that newspaper clipping. Here's the Google Street View of that. And then we will go over more information here about the other aspects of her going missing. But if you guys can see here, this is a aerial photo from 2001. So we know she goes missing in 2003. But in 2001, this was the aerial photo. Hey, Nefarious Hijinks, welcome in. And in the zoomed up photo, you can see here this pile of branches and wood. And that is where they believe that the torso was just laid out at. Like I had said, it was not hidden. It was not concealed. It was just literally laying there. So there's just a lot to it. There's pictures of the crime scene. And once again, this is Halsey Manor Road. It's eerily quiet, even during the day. The tree line here, you can literally see it's obscured by trees and such, but not too hard. And then we do end up getting more of her body parts found. Yes, Leo, very close to each other. More of her body parts found near Gilgo Beach, which is how her and Valerie Mack seem to be very, like, connected. Here's another photo from Manorville. But, and this also, if you guys want to take a look at those pictures by themselves, they are linked in the description box below. The website is. So the one aspect that is unique to Jessica's case is that she had a tattoo on her lower back. It was a tattoo of a red heart with angel wings and the words Remy's Angel written across it. Now, as you guys remember, it is at first in 2003 just her torso that is found. But that would also be her back. And it was, her tattoo was purposefully mutilated to try to stop from the identification. Now, it was cut with a very sharp object, but fortunately not enough to the point where the medical examiner had the ability to piece it back together, and then PD released a photo of it to try and help get this torso identified. Now, I have the photo that the police released. It is hard to look at. It is a picture of her tattoo as it was pieced back together, which was then given out to try and identify her. So I'm going to only put it up for just a few seconds here. So if this is something you don't want to see, it's graphic in the aspect that you can see that it was mutilated to a certain extent. And that because we know what happened to her, it makes it harder to look at. But I just wanted to give a Hey, Mish. I wanted to give a fair warning that for the next few seconds, if it's not something you want to see, just turn your head for a second, close your eyes, and it will not be up long. But for those of you that want to see it, I will be putting up the picture here in 3, 2, 1. So as you guys can see here, this is the tattoo. The person who did this tried to mutilate it enough so that it could not be identifiable. Luckily, he did not do it enough. And um, they were able to put it back together to the point where this gets sent out to police. And not only does it get sent out to police and the public to try and identify her, but a detective in the DC area saw the image and actually recognized it. He um, knew her, I believe, from previous. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I know. I took it down, Merp. I didn't want it to be up too long. Pick is down though. Um, oh, you can look. Thanks, Merp. But he was able to recognize the tattoo, knew that he had contact with that individual with that tattoo. Are you really, Mish? Message me. Yeah, I know, Leo. And the detective is then able to track down Jessica Taylor's family and was able to use DNA from them to confirm her identity. Family thought after they found the torso um that she was possibly killed by her pimp. So, her pimp is known. If you guys watched The Killing Season, which is a show, I'm not exactly on which platform, Hulu maybe Amazon Prime, I'm not quite sure. But he's actually interviewed in this, and his nickname was Remy. So that would be what her tattoo of what Remy's angel was for. And let me grab this again. It is then they think this is just the end of it. They find her torso. Hey, Pamela, Minnesota, welcome in. You're good. Have a great weekend. This is the end of it. They're only going to find her torso. They think that she is killed by her pimp. And that's kind of the end of it until we get to March 29th of 2011. Okay, Hulu. Thank you, Heather. A skull and two hands are found 1 mile from Gilgo Beach. So once again, we already know that Jessica's torso in Manorville had been DNA tested and identified. And so when they find the hands and the skull, they're immediately able to test those as well and see that these are also belonging to Jessica Taylor. So once again, this is the second victim whose torso was found in Manorville and extremities found near Gilgo Beach. The DNA obviously matches. And then I'm going to bring up just this one, which just kind of shows you guys the distance. So if you guys see here, this is near Gilgo Beach. And then this is up near Manorville. So you guys are kind of having the ability here to see the difference. Oh, thank you, Crime Sleuthin. Speaking of that, guys, I will be over on Crime Sleuthin's channel tomorrow. I think it's 2 p.m. Central. We're going to go over the DNA and family tree genealogy in the Idaho 4 with Brian Koberger case. So hopefully I see you guys over there. But yeah, I'll share it on my community tab as well. But we'll be over there tomorrow, I think at 2 p.m. Central. So Manorville, New York, Mish. And unfortunately, like Valerie Mack, Jessica Taylor's case is also still unsolved, but once again, there is a lot of rumor and speculation that obviously Valerie Mack and Jessica Taylor are connected, but also due to the skull and hands of both women being found near Gilgo Beach, near the other Gilgo Beach victims, a lot of people have questioned whether or not they could have been the early victims of the Long Island serial killer or the Gilgo Beach murderer, and that he's just potentially changed direction when it comes to disposal of remains and such since then. So that is all of the information when it comes to Jessica Taylor's case. And like I said, she still has no justice. Her cousin has come out since, especially since Rex Heuermann's arrest. She was actually in a press conference with, I want to say it was like the prosecutor or someone along those lines, talking about trying to get Jessica's case solved now that there's more emotion and action in the case. So the next three are technically going to be the unidentified victims of Gilgo Beach. So the next victim that we will be speaking about is just known as John Doe. This male body is unidentified, is still unidentified. His remains were discovered on April 4th, 2011. And he was said to be an Asian male between 17 and 23 years old, 5'6", missing 4 teeth, and possibly having a musculoskeletal disorder that would cause a challenge with gait, so walking and such. So yeah. Yes, he also was nicknamed Asian Doe, or Asian John Doe. But he had died from blunt force trauma, which is one thing that is different to a certain extent. I mean, we don't necessarily know how the other ones died due to the dismemberment of their bodies. But they had blunt force trauma to his head, for John Doe. Not only that, but he was found in women's clothing, and there was a lot of people questioning whether he could have potentially been mistaken for a woman, was living life as a woman, or something along those lines. And that could have potentially gotten him killed. I know there is another sketch out there that puts this sketch but with long hair. Hey, Lori, welcome in. And that's literally it. They said that he had potentially been dead from anywhere from 5 to 10 years when they found his remains on April 4th, 2011. But that's it. That's all the info they have on him. At the end here, I do have a map of where they're all located relatively to all the other victims, so I will show that at the very end. But that's literally it, and that sucks. It's one of those things where it's like you almost get mad because you want to be able to tell his story. I want to be able to tell a story. I want to be able to tell you guys his likes, his dislikes, what he was like as a person, but there's literally no information to the point where everything I've said to you is what is known. And that's terrifying and sad. Hey, Mary Jane Doe, welcome in. And it breaks my heart. And it's like one of those things where I just want to keep his picture up a little bit longer. Yeah, he has no name, Pointer Lover. And that's terrible. And then we get into the next unidentified, which is, this is going to be a trigger warning. Yes. Fragaria. Yeah. Yeah. Mo, they were also young. The next we have is toddler doe, also known as baby doe. Depends on the age frame that you go with. There's been experts that have given different age ranges. And there is a potential of a generated photo, but I don't know how accurate it was, so I didn't really want to include it. But yeah, this one sucks. So I'll tell you guys what we know about toddler doe / baby doe. Toddler doe, also known as baby doe, was thought to be there. One estimation was between 16 and 24 months, which is like 1.5 to 2 years old, or 1 to 4 years based on another option. Either way, just a baby. One interesting thing about toddler doe, though, is that the toddler was found 250 feet from the remains of Valerie Mack on Gilgo Beach. So that's going to be one of the closer two sets of remains. And yeah, was wrapped in a blanket with no signs of trauma. And the only thing known about this baby was that the baby was wearing gold earrings and a gold necklace. So that's pretty much it. This was another set of remains that were found when during the search of everything happening on Gilgo Beach. Like we said, this all started with the search for Shannon Gilbert. We end up finding the Gilgo 4, and then as time goes on and they're continually going through the area is when they find Valerie Mack's extremities. They find Jessica Taylor's extremities. They find John Doe. They find, yeah, Fragaria, I know. It's terrible. And then they find toddler / baby doe. I will show you guys the pictures. These are the earrings and the necklace, or yeah. Did I say necklace or bracelet? Sorry, my mind's going crazy. Gold necklace. So this is the necklace and the earrings that baby doe was found wearing. Hey, Miss Lucy, welcome in. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. These are the bracelet and earrings that baby doe / toddler doe was wearing. And yes, Mo, we'll be getting into that because the next unidentified set of remains that we are going to be getting into is known as Peaches. So we have Peaches Doe, the girl with the peach tattoo. There is a lot to Peaches and the aspect of who Peaches was and everything like that. Yeah, right, Heather, I know. Sadly, Shannon Gilbert did all the families of the victims a justice in the search for her. Absolutely. All right. So we have Peaches. All right. Peaches is an unidentified female whose torso was discovered on June 28th, 1997 in Lakeview, New York. Her cause of death was listed as homicide due to decapitation, which when you find a torso kind of seems to speak for itself, but regardless. The body was missing its head, its arms, and its legs below the knee, and they have yet to be found. It was found on the left side of Lake Drive, about 200 yards north of Peninsula Boulevard by the McDonald Pond. And trigger warning, the remains were found in a Rubbermaid container with a red towel and a floral pillowcase inside. So, the one, yeah, one identifying mark on the torso found was a tattoo of a heart-shaped peach with a bite taken out of it and 2 drops dripping from the core of the peach. So you guys are able to see on the left side of the screen there that that is the actual tattoo. They did release the picture of the tattoo, and this is the actual photo of the tattoo of Peaches. It is found, um, I believe, on her left breast is where the tattoo was on the torso. So, um, we then go into once again trying to identify Peaches. So, the police put a picture out in the National Tattoo Magazine, which I didn't know was a thing, but it is. There's a National Tattoo Magazine that kind of gets sent to tattoo places all around the country, and tattoo artists and such can read through it about different tattoo things, I would assume. But they put a picture out of the tattoo, and we're trying to see if they could find the person who potentially did this specific tattoo. Now, it actually worked. There was a man named Steve Cullen. He was a tattoo artist from Connecticut, claiming that he was the one who did the tattoo. He went to police, he was interviewed, and he told them what he remembered of the young woman who he gave the tattoo to. And yeah, right. He said that he remembered that he had given the tattoo to a young black woman, either 18 or 19 years old, accompanied by 2 women who she claimed were her aunt and her cousin, and that she had claimed that she was from the Bronx or Long Island, couldn't remember for sure, but was in Connecticut because of having trouble with a boyfriend at the time. So she was staying with family in Connecticut when she went to get this tattoo, and she had told the tattoo artist that, yeah, I know Brandywine. She told the tattoo artist that she was having trouble with a boyfriend, and that's why she was up in Connecticut, but that she was actually from, he couldn't remember, it was either the Bronx or Long Island. And that he stayed, I think, based on something that he said, because the next part that I had read was regarding whether or not there was a possibility of her having more tattoos, because it said that there's a possibility that more tattoos were on the missing limbs. Meaning, I don't know if he said, well, hey, she had a tattoo here, or she had a tattoo here. And they were like, well, we don't have those body parts. We can't find them. Hey, Crafty Chris, welcome in. And so we end up finding out, like I said, a little bit more about her due to this tattoo artist after they put the tattoo into the National Tattoo Magazine. So, on April 11th, 2011, dismembered skeletal remains inside a plastic bag near Jones Beach State Park are found and are named Jane Doe number 3. So this, I want to say, is very close to the rest of the victims. And a lot of tattoos are custom designed by the tattoo artist as well. I'm a tat artist, so glad they found her tattoo. And yeah, me too, Leo. And that's the thing too, is I think when it's something specific, there's like different shadings that you can do and stuff like that, where it is very specific. It was a great idea, Mo. So like I said, April 11th, well, April 11th, 2011 is when Jane Doe number 3 is found. It is June 28th, 1997 when Peach's torso is found. So we were already past that part. And let us see what the rest here. Yes. Okay. More remains found April 11th, 2011. And then it is December of 2016 that Peaches and Jane Doe number 3 are identified as the same person via DNA. So we have the torso that was found in, let me see one more time because I don't want to mess it up. In Lakeview, New York, matched DNA from the skeletal remains found um, inside of a plastic bag near Jones Beach State Park. We also find out that based on the DNA, Peaches, or Jane Doe number 3, is actually the mother of toddler Doe. So this was a big point for me because toddler Doe or baby Doe was not actually found near Peach's remains. The baby was found near Valerie Mack's remains, but in the somewhat same area. But DNA confirmed that Peaches was the mother of toddler Doe / baby Doe. There is a lot out there recently regarding the potential of identifying who Peaches was, who toddler Doe was after finding out who Peaches was, and that hopefully it is going to come together shortly, that it will be announced. I know like I said, there's been a lot of rumors. There's been a lot of rumors that they've already been identified. It just hasn't been announced yet. But nothing is confirmed. Nothing is for sure. But it was one of the big bombshells that did come out with the testing was that, like I said, once again, Peaches, or Jane Doe number 3, the woman with the peach tattoo, is the mother of toddler / baby Doe that is also found in the same vicinity, but near other remains that are not Peaches. Right, Heather? So we have one more case, one more victim that we are going to look into today before I show you guys the full map. And it is someone that we've already talked about on one of my random lives during the week. And it was the Fire Island Jane Doe, or Jane Doe number 7, who was recently identified as Karen Vergata. So we have Karen Vergata, obviously, since she has been identified, we're getting a little bit more information here and there. Still not a ton, but a little bit more. And let us get to this. So Karen Vergata was 34 years old. She was known as Fire Island Jane Doe, as well as Jane Doe number 7. And that she was also from Manhattan. So once again, same type of area of how everything is going. From Manhattan, found near Gilgo Beach. She disappeared in 1996. Oh, I guess we'll go through these aspects of it first. So Karen Vergata did have 2 sons with a man named Gunther. I always want to say Gunther, but it brings me back to Friends. So Gunther Lind, and she actually, while she was pregnant with her eldest son, she was hit by a train while pregnant. And her eldest son ended up being born with cerebral palsy due to the trauma from the accident. And then in 1990, Karen had her second son. His name is Eric. And both boys were adopted out to the same family. A couple named Edward and Diane. I know their full names are out there, but I don't necessarily think it's super important to throw their last names and stuff out there. So, yeah. It is stated that after she adopted out her 2 boys, that she left Gunther, and that she started to escort. Karen's family didn't adopt her children. I don't know, Lori. I'm not quite sure. Um, but she pretty much just cut all ties at that point. After the boys got adopted out, she cut all ties and started working as an escort based on West 45th Street in Manhattan. And yeah, so in 1996, she disappeared while working. She was trouble, is what people had said about her at the time, but she was working as a sex worker. She did struggle with substances, which, once again, doesn't mean anything, should not affect the way that their case is handled or anything like that. But it's important because it is an aspect of this that is true. So she was struggling with substances and working as an escort. In 1996, she disappears while working, and on April 20th, 1996, severed legs were found in a trash bag on Fire Island. That is pretty much it. She's not identified at that point. But on April 11th, 2011, her skull and teeth were recovered on Tobay Beach. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Tobay Beach. And a stepsister named Brenda, who she had claimed her family had had no contact with Karen for decades leading up to this point, but was utilized to link the Fire Island remains through DNA to the skull and teeth on Tobay Beach, all ending up being able to link back to Karen Vergata. So that is literally the entire story. I mean, there's a lot to it. I know that there's been also some instances where supposedly the last person to talk to her was her father on his birthday. She had called him to tell him happy birthday. I haven't really been able to verify that anywhere. But yeah, there's a lot to it. So this is a smaller one. I have an actual bigger one that I can zoom in on. Which I'm actually just going to grab that quick because I just think it's easier. Right. Is there something particular about the beach, like it's hard to get to, or maybe the weather might contribute to hiding stuff? Yeah, so it's more of an isolated area. I know Melissa Jade went there, but it's very marshy. So it's not something where like it's always filled with a ton of, people and it's a beach and this. It's not that type of thing. It's more of like a marshy type of beach. But all right, so you guys are seeing here. This is an overview of, let me make sure you guys are seeing it before I start talking. Okay. This is an overview of where all the remains are found on Gilgo Beach. So we have we'll start up here. So if you guys remember, my first video a few weeks ago was Shannon Gilbert. This is where her body is found. Okay. Then we go into Maureen Brainerd Barnes, which is right over here. We also have Melissa Bartholomew, who's right here. Megan Waterman, right here. Amberlynn Costello, right here, is who we covered. We then have Jessica Taylor, who we went over today. She was the second person that we went over today. And she was the one who had her tattoo mutilated. And her body is found here. And then we have Valerie Mack, whose body is found just down the road over here. We have toddler doe found right about 250 feet from Valerie Mack. Betty Joe, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for letting me know. That's so great, guys. Betty Joe's surgery went well, guys. She can see and she's going back Tuesday for her right eye. That is such great news. Thank you so much for letting me know, Betty Joe. I know Mo will be really excited to hear that as well. Congratulations. I'm so glad. And then we also have the arm of Peaches found down here. So once again, if you guys remember what I had said, Peaches is the mother of baby doe, toddler doe, which is found here. This is toddler doe. This is where Peaches' arm is found. The skull is found here, which I'm not exactly sure which one was the skull found here. I would assume it could be, yeah, I would assume it's got to be what? Karen Vergata, maybe? Because then we also have the Asian male doe literally right in the middle between Megan Waterman and Jessica Taylor. Yeah, I don't think so, Pointer Lover. And that's the thing too, is I know recently Rex Hewerman lost in court and he has to give a DNA sample. And when putting that DNA sample into the databases, it is going to, I think, open up a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of cases that DNA is found on that we have no idea about. We also know that he has different homes and property and everywhere across the country. And so I think that once that comes to fruition and we learn more about it, I think that this is going to literally, the case is going to blow up. And so it's going to be crazy. And it actually, I believe that it has to be in the system and the matches have to be ready to go by the time that they have the, what is it, the preliminary, which is like at the beginning of September. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but it has to be by one of the next court dates, which means it's going to be somewhat soon, which is just crazy. Yeah, I did, Brandywine. I also saw somewhere that his wife has cancer, but I wasn't able to confirm it anywhere, but I saw a few different places talking about it too. I don't like that places are putting their pictures up with the story headlines and stuff. I'm not one that enjoys sharing photos of the family members of this. I know BTK's daughter. Shoot, what is her name? It's gonna bug me now. Terry? Is her name Terry? Well, BTK's daughter is very vocal about the families being innocents in this and that you can't always look at the family. Oh, Carrie. Thank you guys, Carrie Rossin. Thank you. You can't always look at the family with side eyes or anything like that. And I am grateful. Is that a word? I agree 100% that that should not be happening. And so you guys won't see me posting videos and pictures of her kids or her wife or anything like that. I heard from Judy Ron that his wife is dealing with skin and breast cancer. Yes, and she's losing her health coverage because it was through Rex to begin with. Thank you, Erin. That's what I had thought I heard too. But yeah, I don't know. It's terrible. It's just terrible. All right, let me see here. So that was literally the gist of everything that I have when it came to all of these victims' cases. Like I said, there's literally not a ton of information regarding I don't know, K-Braze. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Um but yeah, that's kind of like I said, there's not a ton of information on all these, but I still think it's important to put their faces out there, tell the stories that they do have so far, um, and be accurate. Hi, Richie. Welcome in. Um, we're just actually finishing up, but yeah, I'm glad that we were able to get it all out there and get their faces out there, get their stories out there so that you guys are aware. I will obviously keep you guys updated. Like I said, there are a lot of rumors going around that potentially Peaches and toddler slash baby doe have the ability to potentially get ID'd soon, which will be very interesting. It'll be interesting to see if any of these cases do end up getting tied to Rex Heuermann, who is currently being charged with the Go-Go 4 victims. And hey, Inspector Gadget. It's gonna be very interesting to see how all of this plays out, but also the fact that some of these, like Valerie Mack and Jessica Taylor, are very much similar. So if it wasn't Rex, then what is the possibility that there is another serial killer in this area that was potentially doing this? Or is it something where it was potentially allegedly Rex and he just changed his disposal methods after the fact? So I think I'm going to do a poll. Was this Rex or another killer? Rex, someone else. All right. I'm gonna see what I put a poll up. I'm curious to hear what you guys think and whether you think that they could potentially all be Rex. Do you think that this is a mixture? Yeah, that's true, Merp. It could be. But I am quite curious as to what you guys think. So, yeah, guys, make sure that you hit the thumbs up, go subscribe. We're almost to 1,000. Share out the video. Like I said, also, guys, tomorrow I will be on Crime Sleuthen's channel at 2 p.m. Central to go over the family tree and such regarding Brian Koberger in the Idaho 4 case. So, okay, Crafty Chris, that's fair. Either connected or all the murders out there share the... Yeah, that's true too, Mish. I know I've talked to Merp about this too, in regards to that area. And was it that area, Merp, or was it just that area in general? But I know that potentially the mob has a dumping ground out in that area as well, so it could just literally be that it is a good area. The only thing that I'd say is that what are the odds that Valerie Mack and Jessica Taylor's torsos are both found in Manorville, literally on the same road, and then their extremities are found on Gilgo Beach? Yeah, Inspector Gadget, I know. Almost. Fingers crossed. What about you guys? Do you guys have any questions regarding any of these cases that I could possibly answer, or I could tell you if that's not out yet? Oh, the Pine Barrens. Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. Right? That's true. Oh, thank you, Petunia. I appreciate that. Oh, happy B-Day to Crime Sleuthen's daughter. Happy birthday. Have a good lunch. Thank you, Red Eye. All right. Well, feel free to reach out. Like I said, I have all of my links and stuff in the description when it comes to resources and everything that I have utilized. And feel free to share the video out, and I'll keep you guys updated on identification, stuff like that. Next week, I'll probably be getting into like singular cases. So instead of it being the victims of Go Go Beach, I'll probably start doing um, other cases. But yeah, so thank you guys for being here. Thanks for listening. Thank you for caring about these cases, these victims as victims, not as anything other than victims. What they did for a job, um, the choices in life that they made doesn't make them any less deserving of justice and doesn't make them any less of a person. And I think it's really important to make that known for people is that just because someone's an escort, just because someone does drugs or something like that, it doesn't mean that their cases shouldn't be taken seriously or that they should be pushed to the side. They're still humans, they still matter, and I think that's important. So, I'm going to sign off here. I'm going to do my outro and I will see you guys tomorrow on Crime Sleuthins. Like I said, I will go post it on my community page and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.